Oh boy, what did I get myself into now? Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name's Kyle and the channel's called Kyle by the Creek. But enough about me. You guys want to see this thing. I believe it's a 2007. This is a LGT2654. Yeah, it's missing some stuff. Anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. What does it have? 26 horsepower V-twin Briggs Intech. That's pretty cool, except it's someone's been doing some stuff. But it looks complete. It's got compression. 54-inch mowing deck. Looks in pretty decent shape. So what's the deal with the transmission? So here's a transmission. This isn't actually the transmission from the machine, but I bought this from a friend for $100. He bought this unit for cheap off Marketplace and used the transmission for his project on a Husqvarna. This is the broken transmission from his project. So anyway, it's sort of like it bolts up. It didn't come from this machine, but I asked him to include it so I can have some sort of point of reference and whatnot when I'm trying to source a transmission, or really, I don't know what I'm going to do with this project. Obviously, you got 26 horsepower V-twin. I could put that on another machine. That's certainly a possibility. But this thing has a 54-inch mowing deck. That's pretty sweet. That makes me want to find a transmission, get the whole package working, do some paint, you know, like we do with rattle cans, spray paint, and get this thing back in working order the way it should. So who knows, that could be where this project goes. But this is the day that it was dropped off just a second ago, and I don't know what's going to happen. He just emailed me, you know, 2 hours ago, and I haven't really thought about it. So I got to pick up the camera though to document. So this is what it is, guys. This is what we have. Who knows what's going to happen. I had just put the camera away, but then I rolled this thing and, you know, put it in the old lineup over here and just threw the wheels underneath and just sitting here laughing at it. But you guys wouldn't believe that you can actually roll this thing around the lawn, no problem, with just the front wheels and the deck with the 4 anti-scalp wheels. The thing rolls like a dream. I'll show you some other time. But it is not hard to transport this thing around. But she'll probably sit for a little bit while I got some other projects to do. So back on this project a couple days later, I did get the engine running. It was first running on 1 cylinder, put a new coil on. It's running on 2 cylinders. It needed a little adjustment with the carburetor, and now it's running, I'd probably say like 90%, 95%. We're pretty good on the engine, and I kind of thought that that would be the case. And so I really didn't film it. Plus I just wasn't sure about this project in general, but the engine is okay enough to at least proceed. I've been looking all over Facebook Marketplace. There is a Tuff Torq transmission about an hour and 15 minutes away from me that looks like it would probably work pretty much perfectly. This one is not the Tuff Torq K46 that I need. It's a different one, but I kind of want to feel like I want to give this one a shot. One of the things about this that's a couple things that are different. It doesn't have a plug. Like, I'll show you over here. These transmissions plug in. Honestly, I don't even know what that does yet, but anyhow, it's got an electrical hookup. This one doesn't have that. I'm assuming it'd be fine if it doesn't have it. Maybe it would read something funny, or I might have to bypass that, or I don't know. The other thing is the bracket that would need to support this transmission in the frame would need to thread into these bolts here, and they're just not threaded yet. The bracket for the tractor that this thing came from was just mounted slightly differently, but it looks like they did at least provide the holes. It just might have to make the bracket work. So those two things might stand in our way, but from what I understand about this transmission is it just really didn't work. It was like going nowhere almost. So I kind of want to tear it apart, see what's up with it, and you know, maybe we could slap it in here and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, then we at least you know some more things about how to do this project and what to look for in a used transmission. See, these are the things that it came with, you know, so everything works on this spline, so I think we'll be okay there. We have some spacers if needed, which I think we might end up needing. And here's the bracket I was talking about, and it would go like here, you know, and we just need to tap those holes, so I think that will be okay. But I don't know how to check this for oil. Is it here? Oh, we're gonna investigate. I'll get some gloves. It's pretty nasty. So just looking up the serial number under here, I guess it is a K46. That's what the serial number indicates, 46 CR. It's just not quite the same as what was originally on there, I think, especially since it has no plug. Like, it's a different type of K46. I don't know, these are really popular transmissions, and I'm sure there's a lot of variations, but from what I was able to look up, like with like videos from Terrell and everything, is you have to crack these open, I think, to service them. So at least that's what he does. It really looks like this would be a place to fill, but I don't know. It looks almost like you have two spots, and this is like kind of soft. That's kind of broken. So this is actually the fill and drain port, but you do need to get, this is a file down screwdriver, so I should be able to get under here. Seems to be on there really good though. I feel like I'm damaging it a bit, but I think it's already damaged. There we go. Yeah, I definitely messed it up a little bit. Let's see if I can get that back. So this is a magnet. Looks fine, and the fluid level looks good too. It's supposed to be like 3/4 of an inch from the top. And that's what we're looking at there. This could be a big mess, but let's just see what happens here. Filling up quick. Looks terrible. Yeah. There's probably a lot of water in there. Let's try some more. I'll find some way to prop that up. But yeah, I think we're dealing with really burnt up oil here. It's super thin. It feels nearly like water. There is a little bit of oiliness. It doesn't smell great either. There you go. Just put it on top of a cardboard box. Same box I got all this stuff with. Well, I bought this today. It's a YTH23V42, and it's got the Tuff Torq K46 in it. So it was $125. It's all sorts of messed up. It does have a big 23 in it, and the engine spins and has compression if I spin it by hand. Deck looks pretty messed up, missing a bracket, you know, has no seat, and I don't know if the trans is good. So yeah, we're just gonna give it a try. So what I'm gonna do right now is get it unloaded, and then we'll see if we can get it to fire up and drive around the yard, and then we'll start taking it apart. Well, sorry, the shadows are kind of weird. We're working in the shade. It's hot today. As you can tell, there's a missing area right where the key switch is. And we're gonna install this key switch. I'm sure they had some sort of issue in regards to that. We have plenty of gasoline. We have some oil. It's at the lowest, right at the add, but we have oil. Let's plug in the jump pack. I disabled the seat safety already. Let's see what happens. Mowing blades were engaged. All right, nothing at the key. It's okay. Let's go down to the starter. All right. Oh, good sign. Seems like the engine wants to run. I got it running. I didn't have the parking brake down. It sounds terrible, by the way. Well, we got a transmission. We got what we paid for. That's great news. And the next day here, we got the parts Husqvarna into the shed. We can see our K46. We got a nice little tow hook in the back. I think I'll put the chain hoist up to that. Just get the rear end off the ground a little bit. Remove the wheels. Start unbolting things. Hopefully in a couple minutes here we'll have a free transmission. Just like that. It really took just a couple of minutes to get out. And the thing I'm liking about this so far is this bracket, although it's cracked. Okay, I'm not liking that. We have another one, don't worry. But that bracket should work for us, or the way that that hooks up, I should say. Remember, we were talking about needing to have these, blow that out, but needing to have these bolt holes threaded. Well, these are threaded, and yeah, hopefully this thing didn't take too hard of a hit. Obviously something happened to it, but we seem to still be working here. Woo! Maybe I'll do that outside, but anyway, those holes cleared. Here's the one we have. Let's just put these bolts back in. Good bracket. Alright, just spent a little time stripping this thing down. Getting the stuff I want off of it. And I collected just about everything, including the full wiring harness, solenoid, foot treads, steering wheel, gas tank. Hood is not great, but it could be banged back into shape. It's decent. You know, will I ever use it? I don't know. I'm thinking I'm probably just going to remove the wheels, the front wheels, and then push this thing out to the curb. I could collect the axle, but the front axle, but I don't think I want it. Maybe the cup holder. What else is left here? Sometimes that sort of stuff is nice, but yeah, maybe I'll collect a few more plastic things, but this is going out to the curb. So it's a few days later. On my right is the good transmission. This is the one that got pulled off of my friend's machine as a bad transmission. I did just drain it, and I damaged the cap. Now I ordered one, if you're interested in that cap, because that might happen to you if you're servicing these things or trying to. The Tuff Torq number is 187T0136300. Pretty interesting, like steel reinforced rubber cap. And so here I was thinking maybe I would try to fill this with oil, put the cap on it, try it out just to know if I have a good transmission. But right now that kind of feels like a waste of the cap, of oil and time when I know that this one works. Now, so here's the other thing, is looking at this cap, it looks a little beat up as well, and I'd like to take that cap off, inspect the oil and the level, and then give it a new cap, and then just have this be my permanent transmission going forward, knowing that it's got a new seal and the oil's been investigated at least. I don't know if I'll drain it because, again, I don't want to fix something that ain't broke type of thing. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. I want to take the cap off there, give it a look, and replace it because I do have a good cap. We'll see how things go. Little snap ring, fan, measly little beat up washer. And look at that, that just came right off. Wasn't really expecting that, so that's good news. Probably can't see with the GoPro, but it's looking pretty worn there. These things are hard to get off. I really don't like understand the best way to do it. It's probably why I damaged the first one, but I might watch a video here to see if there's a way to remove those without damaging them. Well, I watched a video of someone using a paint scraper, but I have a chisel here, and I'm just slowly working around. It's already coming loose here. I gave it a couple taps before I turned the camera on. Oh, there we go. Good, I actually got that off without damaging, and it looks so it's like sealed at the bottom, and then you know, obviously there's like another layer on top. I just see the top layer getting dry rotted. Here's the magnet, you know, meant to pick up metal pieces, I mean, it looks like it's got some fine stuff on it, which you would expect. But, yeah, it seems okay. Oil is right to the top. I'll give you guys a look. I mean, I really am tempted to just, might as well just drain it, right? I'm here. I'm servicing the transmission. So, I guess I'm talking myself into doing that. Oil looks great. It does feel a little thin. I have some thicker oil, which there's a lot of different oils you can put in here. It like almost doesn't matter. You could just do regular 10W30, or you can do thicker oils, you know, a little bit thicker. So it's basically like motor oil, but like your choice. You know, if you want to run the summer kind, the winter kind, whatever. So I got my oil catch here, and I'm using this garbage can just to hopefully prop up the transmission, let it be upside down, and slowly drain out. And if I make a mess, it's all inside a garbage can. Which, yeah, I made a mess. Alright, filling up already here. See how full it is. Yeah, it's dark. You don't want to drink that, Carmen. She knows better. It's dark and it's thin, you know, so it needed a change. Let's keep going here. That's what I had in mind. So I have some 10W40. That's what I'm going to put in it. And I don't know exactly how much goes in, but I know that, like, I know to the level. It's basically 3/4 of an inch to the top, but essentially you want that magnet to be a little bit in the oil. So, you know, right where the magnet slots in, the bottom of that slot, just so some oil is touching the magnet and metal shavings get picked up by the magnet, that's what you want. So we're filled up to the right spot. Drop our magnet in. It's in the oil. Put in our new seal. Just give it a little bit of hit with a rubber mallet. There we go. Okay, our transmission is now serviced. The video I watched, you know, showing me how to take off that cap, the same washer in the same sort of condition was on that guy's mower, so I guess we're good. I got it on there. Here, I'll show you how this thing rolls around with no transmission, no rear tires, just the deck and the front wheels. mean, still takes a little bit of work, but it rolls. I'm gonna try to get it into the shed now. Wish me luck. We're in the shed. Surprisingly, a 54-inch deck does fit between my doors, but just barely. All right, so just sort of gearing myself up to give this a try. You guys know transmissions are not my thing, but you know, maybe slowly here I might get better at it. Gotta keep trying, right? But just gonna lift up the rear end on the chain hoist just a little bit, slide that under. I'm gonna see, you know, if I can get everything hooked up, like linkages wise and in the belt and everything, and then start looking for where bolt holes line up and go from there. We do have some spacer brackets, not to get too distracted here, but pretty sure I'm gonna need these, you know, since we have the GT wheels extra tall. Probably need to have this spaced. I believe that's why I have it. So yeah, we'll look into all that and hopefully we get this thing set up correctly. This is how these spacers go on. You can kind of tell it was bolted right there, not on the furthest out, but these ones in. And everything lines up that way. This one on as well. Okay, I really don't know what to prioritize first. You know, we could try to get the belt. That honestly feels like that's going to be one of the harder parts, especially with this gas tank above it. But if I put the belt on now, it's probably going to make it really hard to do everything else. So I might have to just leave that for last. We could do our speed control. That doesn't look like it would be terribly hard. It even fits in there. Lower this a little bit. There we go. Put in a pin. Big a one as I can. We do have our plug here. That should reach no problem, but it needs to be lowered a bit. What about our brake? Let's go over to the other side. All right, so here's the spring for the brake. It was on the machine. This is the spring from the transmission from the previous machine. So we could just gotta get that hooked up. So we'll kind of weasel around with that, but that should be relatively easy. All right, just had to get you guys out of my way. Don't have too much room on this side of the shed. But yeah, we're hooked up there. So we got 2 linkages done. I'm looking at these brackets here, and it looks like on the frame that was on the outside. So I'm down all the way actually on the chain hoist. We're back basically on the belly of the machine resting on the mowing deck. So I'm gonna have to raise up the transmission to essentially do the rest of this, which would be pretty interesting. Once we get a bolt or 2 in, I'm gonna look into the belt to see if we can do the belt before we do absolutely everything. Here's some good news here. Just looking in our box of parts, these are the transmission mounting bolts for the GT, and these came from the parts tractor that I bought, so you can tell the difference. These are for the spacer. All right, so I have my socket set underneath the transmission now, and lowering it down with the chain hoist. So that is it's looking pretty good there. All right, where's that bolt? It went rolling on me. Yeah. Alright, progress, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's dark and cramped on this side. Alright, that one lined up nicely. Awesome. Okay, not sure if I'll be able to film it, but we have the belt here, and you can see our fan and our pulley, and it's right there. So I think with just a little fiddling, I'll be able to get that belt. You know, the fins of the fan are like rubber. They bend. They're not really going to break as long as you're relatively careful, but should be able to bend those fins, snake the belt around, get it on the pulley, and guys, this thing's fully set up. All right, that was actually a piece of cake. Put the brake on, the parking brake, and then it just slipped right on. So we're good. And with the parking brake off, we have tension. So I'm happy with that. Regarding the deck, take a look at that blade. Yeah, and I mean, at first this was, I feel like the belt is rust seized to one of the pulleys because it wants to like snap back. Yeah, so that might be interesting. Kind of want to, you know what I might do is just drop this deck. I really want to test it, but I don't think it's going to test well if it's seized. So maybe since we're under here, we'll drop the deck. Yeah, and get that off, get that out of our way, then we can work on the deck, and then, you know, put these wheels on and fire this thing up, see if we drive around. Look at the size of this mowing deck. It like barely fits in my shed this way. It actually wasn't too bad to get out. Pretty typical Husqvarna, you know, easy enough connections. You know, you have this thing too, which is nice. You can let the tension off the belt when you're putting it on the PTO. I really like that. Yeah, a lot of pulleys on this thing, huh? All right, we're gonna worry about that another day. Let's get the wheels mounted. So I just spent a second wire wheeling the axle here, applying some grease. We have the little wheel chuck. If I can get it to sit right, there we go. The grease might help hold it and also keep it from seizing someday. Well, for some reason it looks like I need to modify the spacer. You can see it on this axle, it's sticking out too much. I don't know what to say. Can't get the clip in, so just gonna grind this down a bit. All right. That was a lot of hot, sweaty work, but it's all hooked up. And we have gas, we have oil. Just gonna put a jump pack on it. We're gonna see if it runs and drives. as you can tell there at the end, we're having some idling trouble. But I've been working on that, so I'm kind of aware of that problem. But how do you like it? Thing drives great. Piece of wood, some sort of rusted out spring or coil. A lot of stuff in here. And here's the underside where you get to really see just how bad these blades are. You know, must be the original blades, never once changed. There's almost no metal on the end. Must have been a terrible cut there for them. So obviously we need to get 3 new blades. I see them at Tractor Supply. It's like $100 though. So this is a little bit costly. Things have been drying out here for an hour or so. Made a visit to Tractor Supply like I do almost every day. Got a new battery, got a set of 3 blades, the 54-inch high lift, and it's a 5-star hole in the blade. So let's flip the deck over and then we'll install these blades, and then we'll get onto the battery, and then we're gonna test this thing, see if it mows. Well, it's not even 12:30 and I can't believe that I've done the transmission all the way to getting all the parts to get a battery and blades on this thing. We're ready to test run this. I'm pretty excited here. I mean, we know it drives great. We know the engine's working pretty good. We got to keep our eye on the idle. But we don't know if our PTO works. So we'll find out together, guys. This thing is a monster. I love the 54-inch deck. I mean, that just makes everything so quick. I'm just ripping through my lawn over here, but I tell you what, this transmission feels completely brand new. The pedal feels very tight and it's really responsive. Reverse is very quick too, which I find on most hydros, the reverse gear is like, you know, you're just like waiting for the thing to back up. I don't know if it's the big rear tires or, you know, the service hydro transmission, but something about this just it just zooms through the yard, and making turns and reverse and all that sort of stuff just goes real quick. It just feels super strong. I mean, probably helps that you have a 26 horsepower engine, but just doing hills, backing up on hills, wow, I really like this thing. Well, this new morning is revealing some new problems. I'm actually, well, the engine's not running really great right now. It's surging a bunch. It's sort of like wanting to stall or die down. Then it's a little bit of black smoke, kind of like you're on choke, comes out. And then it goes back to normal RPMs. So it's just kind of like fading in and out. I have a feeling I need to dive into the carburetor. I bet there might have been some water in the gas tank that's now going through. So we got that sort of issue. I was experiencing a little bit of transmission issue too. Every once in a while, pressing on reverse, I wouldn't get much. And then I tried to film it. And of course, then I'm riding around the yard. Everything's fine. Reverse is working. It's going up the hills. So I don't know what's going on there. I wonder if the belt is a little worn. Yeah, didn't seem like it, but maybe the pulley is slightly different size. I don't think it is either. I'm just trying to think of reasons why the transmission would act a little funny. But it also could be connected to the engine losing a little bit of power with all the surging and stuff. So I think the first thing I'm going to do here is clean the carb. We haven't touched the carburetor on an engine that's been sitting for a long time, so that makes sense. So let's at least check some boxes here and get ourselves back to a good running engine. Here's a carburetor, here's the bowl. Really hard for you guys to see, lots of stuff floating around at the bottom. Doesn't actually look like any water. Not that I can tell. But a lot of floaties, a lot of junk. Everything's looking pretty clean though, so try to give it a clean. I don't like the way that linkage looks too, so I might try to source one that's more straight. I could be wrong about that, but I'll try to compare. That looked a little bent up to me. Good, but you can hear it's got some pops, and then it just died when I gave it throttle. Try that. I'll shut it down because I know you guys get nervous when the engine covers off. So carb clean was better, and right now no transmission issues, so don't really know what to think about that. Oh, we're leaking fuel. Look at that. Look at that. The carb is leaking slash flooding. I have a feeling we're gonna need like a whole new carb on this thing to get it to run right. So this is actually kind of insane. This is the gasket that was on here, and I didn't even notice this because it was stuck to the head like this. Look at that. It's blocking the intake. This is not at all the right gasket. Someone had one, like I said, it was stuck to the head here. So we had one bolt that was making it through, and the other one was just completely missing. And the intake was blocked. But both of these gaskets are the same. It's doing the same thing on both sides. You know, this is... That's really wild. I'm gonna see if I can come up with the right gasket for that. Yeah, it's crazy. So stuff like this happens a lot. You guys don't always see it, but I'm dumping out full bins of carburetors over here. I'm going through lots of gaskets. I was only able to find one. See, that's the right size. But it looks like the kits, when they give you a kit, boy, you can even see the wear that this was so off center. The kits come with these gaskets. I have a million of them. So I might have to go to the storage shed down by the creek and take off a carburetor from a V-twin down there and see if I can get another gasket. That's really the only thing I can think of right now. Okay, I came up with 2 gaskets here, and I did clean the carb again. Took the needle out, cleaned the seat. I don't have another needle to use, so I just cleaned it. Hopefully this will do it. So we're no longer leaking. I just ran it for a while. No flooding, which is great. It's idling perfectly. Full throttle has a slight surge. I'll show you what I mean. I'm hoping that with an air filter on it goes away, but that's kind of high hopes there, but we'll see. So that started on idle with choke, and there's no surging at idle. That's perfect. And one little spit too, but the snapping and spitting is far less. I don't think we have an intake leak anymore, so that's good. It just is probably, you know, carb related why it's surging. So a new carb might fix it, but I might just roll with this. So far it's kind of on par with where everything else is at. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. We'll see. It might end up being acceptable with the air filter on and everything. You might not notice that, and I might just be kind of noticing it because I can visually see the throttle too, so we will see. So I actually have a new air filter for this. So we're gonna give that a whirl, see if things are any better. Good now. Was surging a little bit, and I ran the blades. It wasn't surging with the blades on, and then after cutting, it warmed up a little bit. I don't know. I know some of you are looking at these things just spinning. There's no posts. Someone modified that intake, and anyway, just these two are threaded in there, but these two are just spinning in the breeze. But I don't know. Yep, we'll keep our eye on all this. But running good for the moment, and did an amazing job cutting with no transmission issues, no moments where it kind of bogged and came back like it was doing before. That was definitely a carburetor. You know, we had grit in the bowl, we had an intake leak, we had restricted intakes. So all that should help power and things like that. And we'll just, you know, we're in the testing phase. This is what it looks like. And I talk you guys through it. So sometimes, you know, when I talk, you think that I'm doing things incorrectly. I'm just informing you on where we're at right now. And we'll see. We'll keep our eye on it, right? That's what we're doing here. Well, it's been a week. I was on vacation, and I did order a new carburetor for this. I just wasn't quite happy with the way it's been running. It's been running well, but it still has some surging, and Some of the linkages were bent previously. Also where the low throttle meets the idle adjustment, you know, that has been bent before. So anyway, you know, figures out I was on vacation, get a part ordered, it'd come in, and I can work on it. But I kind of want to see what this thing does after a week of sitting. Let's see how it starts up here. Yeah, I don't know. We still might have to pay attention to the transmission, or maybe it's just the belt. It kind of feels like every once in a while the belt grabs really late, like you have to press all the way down on the pedal to get something to move, and then reverse, you know, you don't have enough pedal to get it to engage. That's kind of the way it feels, like a stretched out belt. I don't ever like thinking that. I know sometimes people say that, like the belt stretches out. They don't really stretch. They wear. So, you know, so the sides of the belt actually get worn down, so it'll have less belt material, and that's really what makes you have belt problems, is the belt is worn. You don't really stretch so much. So I don't know, gotta look into it. Really don't want to take that deck off again, but we might be doing that. All right, here's what we have for a replacement carburetor. So 791230. Carburetor, carb replacement 774417777. A couple other things, that other numbers that it says it replaces, but essentially, what do we have? The 26 horsepower engine. Just wanted to make sure it was that was in the category of what this thing supports. So 26 horsepower. So yeah, we're gonna have to put some of these intake pieces on it, but this is what we have. Yeah, so this part was messed up on the carb. It's all bent, and I've bent it back into place, but it really seems like it wants to be there, which yeah, it's kind of hard for you to tell, but it's definitely like bent our way a little bit, whereas this one is more horizontal. But all right, let's grab some linkages. I guess this is the linkage I was saying was bent, but I guess we're using it. I did fix it a little bit. So on this side we have a gasket, and the new one comes with a set of gaskets. So this will go like this, but we have to get these posts out. This says it's an E5. It's got the star pattern. Makes removing those posts very easy. Just like that. Alright, on this side of the sandwich, they had the metal gasket. I don't know if I've ever used that before though. This thing sort of restricts the air. I don't think I'm going to use that. I'd rather do that. I don't want any restriction. This is a 27 horsepower. So we're just going to go with the paper gasket. Maybe you would use that for a smaller horsepower. I don't know. We're going to put our posts in. Snug these down. New gasket that way. Intake. And these 7/16 nuts. All right, and the new kit did come with these like head gaskets, or not head gaskets, the intake gaskets that go on the head. So they're like thicker than the ones I was using. So I'm going to use these. Just about all hooked up here. All right, we'll crank it a bit. There's no fuel in that carb, so it'll take a little bit. Leaving the engine cover off now just in case something's not right. This is with choke. With that seems to be making it run way better. I really think this thing is going to run better because the carb had two restrictions on it, right? It had the wrong gaskets that were touching the head, so the intake there, that was restricted, and then that metal plate restricted some of the intake too. So yeah, I think this thing is wide open now. Well, just pulled it back into the shed here, and the engine's running great, and I had no issues with the transmission right there. I really don't know what to make of that. Maybe it just needs to be used more, like there might be a little bit of air in the system or something like that from the oil change. I don't know. But as you can see, I was going back and forth, switching as quick and as hard as I could, and there was no delay, and it did not lack any strength. So I don't know what is up with that. Still don't know if it's a belt issue or just a little bit of air in the transmission. So I'll look into it. Looks like we got a bunch of ants over here. But now that we have the engine hot, I might do an oil change now. I really don't like to proceed on the cosmetics until I have everything, at least with the engine running perfectly. So I do believe I have the engine running perfectly now. Needs a service. Still, you know, looking into the transmission, but I figure, you know, if we need to swap out another transmission, we could do it, or if I need to do the belt, we could do the belt, and I can have everything looking pretty while that's going on. So yeah, we will paint it, but let's do all the necessary things first. The whole thing is unthreading. I've had that issue before. Really just moments away from disaster when it's like that. Some pretty thin oil here. Just finger tight. That's pretty bad. Some pretty gross stuff in that fuel filter. I think it's rust, actually. The bottom part of the filter is metal, and I think it rusted out. I was gonna put brand new plugs in, but the plugs are actually already brand new, so I'm just gonna leave those. There we go, right up to the second dot. So after the engine service, I just ran this thing for a while here. I did the whole lawn in front of the house too, and she ran great. There was one time where I stepped on the reverse pedal and it lagged, but that was right when the engine was cold, the transmission was cold. It seems that when it warms up it works flawlessly, but right there in the beginning when it's cold it might lag once. It seems to be getting better, so I think it really might just be air, and I'm gonna keep running it. I mean, I have full confidence in this thing. It did this lawn so quick. Engine runs perfectly, mows perfectly, moves nice and fast. Makes the lawn look pretty good too. Several days later, I wasn't expecting to take the transmission off, but that's kind of where we got going. Here's what you can see. looking pretty low. You're supposed to see some fluid right there. So I think this is why when it's cold, the transmission isn't quite working right. I think as I ran it, I really needed to like bleed the system or just, I don't know. But I gotta top that off, and I bet this thing will be a lot better. Like I said, when it warms up, it's great, but right out of the gate for the first 3 minutes, the pedal is not good at all. So yeah, we got to get this solved. I don't have my GoPro, this is my phone right now, and I wasn't really expecting to do any work or film, but then I just got carried away and dropped the transmission. So let's top off the fluid. Hopefully this thing will run a lot better. I have it put back together. I didn't even realize what I just did there, but I serviced the transmission without fully removing it. So just to let you know kind of what I did, the only thing I left attached was the brake spring. See the spring moving? I left that attached because it just seemed difficult. Everything else I took off. Brackets, bolts, belt, drive linkage, harness plug, all that came off, but I left that spring for the brake, and the transmission was just kind of dangling there. I worked it so I got it level, and then I refilled it, and it did take a lot of oil. So just keep that in mind if you guys are servicing these. Let you guys know I'm new to this stuff with transmissions, but it took a lot. When I first filled it with oil, I filled it up, but once that thing moves around, it disperses a lot of oil inside of there, so you need to top it off. Well, I just mowed all of this. We are testing, and testing this thing. But man, I am glad I did that trans top off. Not only does this thing work so much better, is it makes no noise too. There's no hydro whine. I'll show you. It's really smooth now. I'm very happy with that. That's the next morning here, and we finally had our first successful cold start where the transmission worked perfectly, so I'm good. I'm ready to move on. We're going to start doing cosmetics now. So we're going to leave the fender in place because it's one of these Husqvarnas where you have to take off the whole center console to get the fender off. I'm not going to do that. I'll just remove as much plastic as I can, tape things off, spray paint her orange. And I'll probably do the hood too, although the hood's in pretty nice shape. It's just sun faded and it won't match once I paint the fender. So these hoods have lots of components, but you can disassemble them pretty completely. And the last time I did a Husqvarna, I actually removed the sticker and was able to reuse it. So if you're careful, you can get that off. I'll just mask off this one because it's rectangle. That'll be easy. And then we'll spray paint everything. I don't think I'm going to do the deck. The deck looks pretty good. And, you know, most of it, appearance-wise, is plastic. You get this huge grass deflector, which I'll do some heat treatment to make this look restored. You know, you got those plastics on it. You actually don't see too much metal when you look at this huge 54-inch deck. So I'm not too worried about how the metal looks. I mean, it looks fine anyway. Just had a mouse run by. It might be that same mouse from a while ago. Oh, just went under there. Great. Anyway, yeah, so we'll get started on this. Seems like I have a lot of plastic to remove. Like this stuff, I don't know if this will come off. Kind of hope it does, but I'm not sure. We'll find out. for anyone wondering, you know, how much time does it take to get to this point where you have all this stuff stripped down, it's really not much. That might have taken me 20 minutes. It really doesn't take too much to get all this off. And you know, I know it's going to take me a while to do this whole process. I got to clean this, I got to, you know, remove some decals, prep it for paint, paint it, let it dry, reassembly. You know, it does take some time, but I don't know, just to share some of my thoughts on this. You know, I have other tractors that I finished months ago that still haven't sold. They're just sitting on my property. Like, the way I see it is, as long as I have it, I should be improving it, right? I should take the time to make it look as good as possible, because that really increases its chance of being resold. And you know, I could rush this project. I could sell it like that with all the paint chipping off, but I'd have to sell it for a pretty cheap price, you know, and even then it might sit on my lot for a while before it sells too, because it doesn't look so good. I'd have to find the right buyer who doesn't mind the way that it looks. So the way I see it is, as long as I have it, I should make it look as good as possible. And that's why I don't mind taking, you know, even if it takes 2 days here to finish all this, it's only 2 days, you know. If the thing sits here for months, what's that? I might as well have something that looks pristine sitting here for months, and something that will sell for top dollar when it finally goes. Let me show you how I'm doing this decal removal. Just using a heat gun and really giving it some pretty good amount of heat. And then I have a razor blade, and I'll start over here and I'll just pull the sticker off. The hood's all prepped. We're ready. Got those 2 decals taped off. Everything's degreased. As you saw, I wire wheeled it down so it's scuffed up a bit. And we have our Alice Chalmers paint from the Rust-Oleum Farm implement. So let's get this painted up. What's in there?
A bumblebee.
A bumblebee. Pretty good catch.
I don't know where to go.
You're gonna let it go, okay? Looks a little mad. Well, he's gone.
I'm
All
gonna
right.
catch more.
All right, go catch more. Be careful.
I already found it.
All right, so this is how we're masking this thing off. Plastic bags over the pedals, cardboard box over the deck, paper towels all over the place, plastic bag on the gas fill. All right, this should do it. Let's get painting. It's been a full 24 hours. The paint is fully dried. It probably doesn't look amazing to you because like it looks like I missed some spots, but that's where all the plastic goes. So I was kind of skimpy on the paint. Really wanted to make it last. You know, I didn't need to go nuts here where the foot tread goes, or on these fender parts of the fender here, because big pieces of plastic go there. So it's done. It's ready for all those trim pieces to go back on and the seat to go back on. And then what should we do next? Probably do a bunch of plastic restoration. Just do some heat treatment with the torch, see if we can get some of these gray plastics to look a bit more lively, not so sun faded. Gotta do a little work up here with that muffler guard. That looks pretty ragged. Needs another cleaning, especially in the deck and the wheel area, but yeah, looking good. The hood's gonna take a little bit of time too, so we'll have to get that put back together. One thing to show you here, I just finished the 2011 Craftsman, what was it, PYT 9000, and then I ended the video with this Troy-Bilt, and someone's coming right now, hopefully to pick it up. They said I have a trailer, so I guess that means we pretty much have a deal. I have this listed for $450. Let's see if he buys it for that price. So all the plastic has been heat treated, restored back to life. Looks pretty good. And I'll save you the trouble of watching me reassemble everything. I'm just gonna put it together here. It's another real hot one, and it's a struggle to get anything done here. So I'm done with the heat, so that's nice. So I'll just start putting things back together. Next thing you'll see, you know, one of those snap moments. No, I won't do that, but soon we'll have everything put back together here. Here's our finished product. This thing came out amazing. I'm so glad I painted it. It deserved it. Look at this thing. I just finished its photo shoot for Facebook Marketplace, so like I always say, this is the best it'll ever look, I'm sure. No one's gonna keep it this clean when they own it and start using it, but give the tires a nice polish. Show off that feature of this. Obviously the massive mowing deck. What else? Little small things I finished. Painted the bumper, painted the muffler guard. You know, obviously I got all the plastics put back together. Took the time to paint the springs and some of the hardware, painted the fuel cap. Yeah, just so, I mean, it just looks really clean like that. You know, paint the back. Have the gas tank be nice and clean. You know, these are things that some people check when they come to inspect it. Keep everything nice and clean in there. You know, no debris. I always tell people, you know, because they're like, why'd you clean it so much? I'm like, well, so that you can see if it's leaking or something like that when you come. You know, when they come to test it, I want them to be able to actually inspect it. If it's covered in grease, you can't really tell what's going on. So I think this is the proper way to sell something. But yeah, I'm really liking how this turned out. You know, as far as how the engine's doing, it's perfect. I'm glad we went with a new carburetor. It really needed it. And obviously the transmission needed that second top off, and we're good to go. This thing cold starts perfectly. Transmission works just as it should right out of the gate now. Oh, I put a seat cover on. Yeah, you didn't see that. Seat cover barely fits, but it'll stretch a little bit. It's just a little tight, like right there, but better that than the saggy seat covers that seem to be all over the place. And I'll save you me actually test running this thing. You've seen it enough, but let me just start it up without choke. what do we have? The 458 for hours, 2007. Let me know what you guys think I should list this for. I'm having a bit of a hard time coming up with the right price for it. To me, I want to price it really high. I mean, this, when you have a 54-inch mowing deck, you are in the range of 0 turn. So anyone looking for a 0 turn, you know, they're looking for a really big mowing deck. Well, this thing has it, and it doesn't have to be at a 0 turn price. So, you know, say I listed it for $1,500. They're likely going to be buying a 0 turn, even a used one, for maybe $500 to $1,000 more than that. So this would be like a really good budget 0 turn-esque type of machine. I think if you go low, you kind of devalue it, right? Because what other machine is out there with that big of an engine, that big of a mowing deck, Husqvarna in this nice condition? You know, I couldn't really sell it for $800. It just doesn't seem right. So anyway, curious to see what you guys think. Well, we finally got a break in the weather. Today is nice and cool, giving Carmen a walk down by the creek. And I want to thank you guys for tuning in to watch this video. This was a bit of a longer one. I've had some shorter videos this summer, but this project was pretty intense. I definitely took on a lot, and I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out when I first got the machine, but I'm glad that I could find a good transmission. I learned a lot about putting in transmissions and what to expect if you drain the oil and refill it. But in the end, we do have a very nice tractor. I listed it for $1,400. We'll see where that goes. I'm sure the price will drop, but I do think it looks really nice. We got it running perfectly, got the transmission working perfectly. I'm really happy mechanically with where this is at. And on top of it, we painted it and it looks really good. So I hope this thing sells pretty quick here, and I hope you guys stay tuned. We have lots more tractor videos to come. Thank you again for watching. My name is Kyle, and the channel is called Kyle by the Creek, and we'll catch you guys on the next tractor video.